What are we all reviewing today? The Ematic 8-inch HD quad-core tablet. So, quick look at the box. Quick look at part of the product. So it actually comes with an integrated keyboard. Got little gold spots there for the integrated keyboard. This is actually a pretty interesting and cool device because it's essentially a laptop with a removable keyboard. It also works as a nice screen protector. So, a little bit tricky to pop it off. It clings on there really nicely and tightly. And actually, yeah, technically speaking, you can't flip it around to do it that way, which is kind of a bummer. But I mean, if you're going to be doing it in the closed fashion anyway, it holds together really nicely and securely, as you can see here. One thing I will warn you, when I first took this out of the box and first put it together like this, when I tried to pull it apart, actually the shell itself started to split, but I could easily just pop it back together. So it grips a little too securely just out of the box. But as you can see, I'm not having any problems with the actual shell splitting now. It's not a repeated problem, it's just like a fresh out of the box problem. So as you can see here, I'm pulling it out, and I'm not having any problems with the actual shell splitting. And the shell splitting didn't split all the way, just kind of got a little bit loose. So, as you can see here, pulled it out several times. And you just place it in like that. There's the power button up here to do it. There it is in its little cradle. It's one of those weird devices where it uses a standard like USB, like mini micro USB port connector to actually connect for power here. But annoyingly, I can't just use a USB, straight USB to micro USB connector to power it. So I can't just plug it into my computer to charge it. The actual plug itself, while this is a full functional USB port and you can plug it in and use it as a normal USB port, you actually have to use the USB port that's got the battery block on the end and plug that into power, which is really annoying, but, you know. Now, let me quickly log in for you guys. It is running full Windows 8. And it's got a normal functional keyboard, but I can also just tap the touchscreen and pull up the digital keyboard. Both are really nice to work with. The digital keyboard is like any standard tablet keyboard. It's got a nice 8-inch display, so it's, got a nice space to work from, because I got all this space from here to type, and I got all that space in there to type. Nice chiclet keys. And when you actually have the touchscreen keyboard up, it just works fine. If you start typing with your keyboard, the touchscreen keyboard goes away. You can immediately just type normally. Of course. always gotta love it when it's trying to log into a device. Now, another thing I want to show you guys, let me pop it off the cradle, that is kind of annoying. Several of your standard actual, commands, buttons, whatever you want to call them, you have to execute with the function key. So like for example, if you want to put a question mark in, function I. For example, quotation marks and double quotes, function O, function P. So there's a lot of stuff is in there. And of course you've got your standard function keys and the number pads, which do like, actual functions like play, pause, rewind, music player, all that fun stuff, audio controls. So you've got those things. Of course, it comes with Windows, so of course it has a Windows key. I know some people will be like, why doesn't it have like a command key if I want to run Mac? Because the thing comes pre-installed with Windows. This thing is built around being a Windows PC. So of course the integrated keyboard that comes with it is going to have Windows, because it comes with Windows in the package, full service. So please don't be an idiot. But it's actually, as you can see, a nice, decent keyboard, relatively thin, and works as a really nice sort of containment system. Now, another cool thing about this thing, battery life is decent. I'll mention that right now. It's not the greatest battery life in the world, but it's decent. It comes with 32 gigabytes of internal flash memory, but it has a straight up micro SD card port right here. So I just took the one I had from my old tablet, which ended up being a pain in the ass that I couldn't really do much with because of Windows 10 errors, which basically inverted my mouse and made it completely unusable, so I couldn't actually update it in any way. But yeah, there we go. Let it orient. You see right there, I just popped it in there. Secure digital storage, 64 gigabyte storage device is right in there. And of course you can switch it, since it's Windows 8, switch between tablet mode and Windows mode. I prefer Windows mode myself. But, there. So I've tapped on it. As you can see here, it's add a little check mark. Double tap. Now, of course, the next big question is, how does it sound? Well, I happen to have a video queued up for you guys, so you can actually hear what it sounds like at, I might have it oriented the right way, maximum volume. Let me find the speaker port for you guys right here.
Geek himself, and today we will be reviewing the Geeks Fantasy Club, Kingzilla. So here we are, and there he is. And first and foremost, as always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging. So right up front here, we have some nice artwork of Kingzilla. His name is Kingzilla. It converts from Robot Warrior to Mecha Dragon to Fighter Jet and back.
Thank you. Crisp, clean display. So all in all, a pretty decent tablet. And it goes for, well, I paid like 70 bucks. Right now it's going for about 110 bucks on Amazon. But I paid about 70 bucks. So, sales and whatnot. Link, of course, when it's posted to YouTube will be in the description. But I just wanted you to actually see what the actual product is. So I've actually got the Amazon link up behind the large face cam. So give me a second to turn off the webcam. And there you go. 32 gigabytes of internal memory, 1 gigabyte of RAM, pretty standard for a tablet. It's running a quad-core Atom processor. It's actually pretty speedy. As you can see, it's full HD. Not 4K, but full HD. Running Windows 8.1. And I can install all the normal apps you would expect you could install. And it has full Cortana. So here we have Discord, desktop Discord. If I wanted to, I could probably install Steam, though I'm not quite sure what games I could get on here. But, that is the thing you want to keep in mind when dealing with anything like this. Whenever you're buying your tablet, you want to keep in mind what OS it has, what you can do with that OS. Because remember, folks, if you're running a full OS, you're not going to be able to install your mobile games. So, all the games that I play on my, well, admittedly I have an iPhone instead of an Android phone or a Windows phone. But, irregardless of that, you won't be able to install your mobile apps unless they have a desktop version. But any desktop app you can install just fine. And unlike all of my previous tablets, while it's running, I haven't actually had it feel very warm. As I've mentioned before, with my larger tablet, the 10-inch, or it's 11-inch, can't recall which one. There we go, make sure that's sitting in the cradle properly. This thing will heat up within minutes of it being on. So while it does technically work, it's a pain in the ass to work with. While this has got no such problems. One thing I am a little bit worried about, and that mainly just has to do with these these mini connectors. I don't know what the proper term would be. I mean, granted, it is got, little gold bits and all that, and seems... Is Cortana procking? Cortana's procking. Gotta love Cortana. Shut up, Cortana. So, I'm always a little bit worried about these connectors because they're just kind of so tiny. And, well, yes, it's got matching connectors there, so it should all match up fine. I always feel like these type of connectors are the kind that are going to break and wear off really soon. So I don't know how viable this type of thing is because it's not using like standard USB for its connection port, which means you also can't just buy a replacement, but you can't just buy like a replacement keyboard. So I have seen plenty of keyboards with these type of connections, typically all bundled as all-in-one, so I don't know how easy it would be to replace this if this thing were to break. But it is something to keep aware of because of that proprietary, 5-pin connector. So that's something to be aware of. So as you can see, the damn thing's pretty sturdy. I think the actual keyboard itself is as thick, if not thicker, than the actual tablet itself. Yep. About the same thickness. Ignoring the little security tabs. So, it's a pretty sturdy thing. Which you don't really need to do when you have a keyboard, because keyboards can be pretty thin. I have got, a keyboard I can roll up somewhere around here. So, I mean, nice and sturdy. Basically the same thickness as the tablet itself. Easy to slide in. It's got a headphone jack right there. So you can do your headsets. Obviously you need a single port headset as opposed to the one like I have here, which is actually mic and headset as two separate 3mm jacks. So you would need one of those combined ones like you have with like the Apple earbuds, which technically have a built-in mic as well. But all in all, yes, it's a pretty good device. I've been using it for a few days now. It's got a pretty standard webcam on there. It booted up and installed Windows relatively quickly. I'll post a secondary video, which is just the install process, just so you can kind of see the speed at which it does the install. And, not much else to say. There isn't too annoying of a logo on the back. It's just a little, almost looks like there's a little power button. It does say Intel inside, but what doesn't? And yeah, altogether, you know, it's not a bad device. I think I even got mine used. I think that's probably why I paid 75 bucks for it. And as you can see, yeah, that's what I did. I got it used, but it said like it was new in box type of thing. So I'm happy with it. It's a good tablet. I mean, obviously, a bit big for what I wanted to originally get a small tablet for. I don't know how many of you guys actually follow my Customizer Corner, that actually follow my raw reviews. But one thing I was planning to do, and longtime fans might actually know about this, because I talked about it on my Twitter a while back, where I was going to build a sort of wrist-mounted sort of Fallout style Pip-Boy with a built-in voice changer using Screaming Bee's voice-changing software. And when I mentioned that, Screaming Bee actually sent me for free the full version of their software. So at some point in the near future, when I finally get all this stuff working the way I expect it to and can build the shell around it, I will have a voice-mounted voice morphing software that's connected to a Bluetooth microphone. It'll be an entire big project. You know how I am with these Customizer Corner projects, like the Titanium Morpher. Lots of prep, lots of research, lots of part buying, and then eventually you're probably all going to be disappointed by the final result, considering how much time it took to get there. But yeah, so I originally got like a 7-inch tablet for that, but that was the one that went and updated to Windows 10. I couldn't do anything with it because of the damn thing. So this is a bit big for that, but honestly, it's not a bad device for just having a tablet. Plus, I've needed an actual tablet for actual work purposes for like the longest time. And even though technically this thing works, it doesn't work. So I have been trying to find an actual viable tablet for some time, for about a year. I think this thing will do. I think this thing will do. It's not. It's as fast as a 7-inch. It's actually. I think even though, yeah, I think it actually weighs less than the big tablet here, despite, you know, having more stuff. You know, if you need a tablet, you don't mind the 8-inch form factor, go with this thing. It's pretty good. I give it my seal of approval. Like I said, the only thing I probably would have preferred, and I can't even really say for sure, because I might even be able to do it with this, it's just mainly the size of it. Because if you're going to do something wrist-mounted, 8 inches, kind of a bit much. 7 inches a bit more reasonable for wrist-mounted. But I don't know. Depending on the type of thing you're building, it might work for wrist-mounted. But other than that, it's still a great tablet. It's got a nice big form factor, which makes it easier to see and do all the stuff you want on it. It switches between the keyboard and the digital keyboard really quickly. You can do all the normal stuff you want on it. I think it's just more of a personal preference that I would have preferred something with an i processor as opposed to an Atom processor, but hey, it's running full Windows, so I can't really complain. And the Atom doesn't seem too underpowered. So yeah, if you're looking for a good tablet, this baby. And I've tested it. It's got full Wi-Fi. I mean, there really isn't anything else I can think that it's worth mentioning. It's a fully functional tablet. Alrighty, folks. So with that said, I will see you all in the future.